She left her there blind, crying, and one step away from death. $1 billion heiress, abandoned like trash on the edge of a cliff. But what her cruel stepmother didn't know was that salvation was walking up the hill that day. And her name was Amina. The blind billionaire's daughter was left by her stepmother on a cliff. Until a black girl came and the sky was gray, the kind that presses against your chest like grief itself. The cliff stretched high above the roaring sea, wind whipping hard enough to steal a scream. And standing there small, trembling, her hands reaching for a world she could no longer see, was Evelyn Carter, the blind daughter of one of the richest men in the country. Her white dress fluttered wildly, the hem torn and dirty. She didn't know where she was. She only knew she'd been told to step forward. And that behind her, the car's engine was fading away. "Mother?" she whispered. But only the wind answered. No one saw it. No one heard it. The world kept spinning while a child of wealth and silence stood at the edge of her own ending, miles away. Amina Brooks was walking home from her shift at the diner. Her sneakers were soaked, her apron stained, but her spirit unbroken. Life hadn't given her much, but she carried herself like someone who still believed in light. She was humming under her breath when she noticed it, the glint of a black luxury car, parked crookedly near the edge of the hill road. The driver's door was open. The engine was still ticking. Something inside her whispered, "Look closer." She followed that whisper. Through the rising fog, she saw a pale figure standing near the cliff, and her heart stopped. "Hey, don't move," she shouted, running faster than she ever had. Evelyn turned her head toward the voice, blind eyes wide and terrified. "Who's there?" Amina reached her, panting, chest burning. She took Evelyn's cold hand. "You're safe now," she said softly. "I got you. Don't move, please." The cliff crumbled slightly beneath Evelyn's foot, and Amina yanked her back just in time. Both girls fell into the grass, shaking, breathless, alive. Evelyn clutched her hands together, trying to understand. The stranger's voice was kind, but her world was only shadows. "My name is Amina," the woman said gently. "You're safe. Can you tell me who left you here?" Evelyn's lips trembled. My mother. She said we were going to see the ocean." Amina's heart twisted. "Where is she now?" "She's gone." The word "gone" hung between them like a ghost. Amina looked at the luxury car again, at the pearls gleaming on the seat, the perfume still floating in the air. No one leaves their child like that. No one who still has a soul. She wrapped her arm around Evelyn and whispered, "Then we'll go together. You're not alone anymore." Before that cliff, Evelyn lived in a mansion that could swallow whole families. Her father, William Carter, was a man the world envied, brilliant, wealthy, endlessly kind. But when a tragic accident took his sight, everything inside him dimmed. That's when Clarissa, the woman with the perfect smile and colder heart, entered their lives. She pretended to care, pretended to love. But she loved only power, and William's fortune gave her plenty. When William's health worsened, Clarissa took full control. The servants left, the laughter died, and the house became a museum of silence. When William passed, his last words were, "Take care of my daughter." Clarissa did. But not in the way he meant. Clarissa's plan was simple: get rid of the girl, take everything. Evelyn couldn't see, couldn't fight, couldn't even testify if anyone asked. So on that cold morning, she took her for a drive. She told her stories of the ocean, of her father's love, of freedom. And when they reached the cliff, she whispered the final lie. "Step forward, sweetheart. Your father always said you should face the world." Head dash on. Then she left. That was Clarissa's kind of love, clean hands and a quiet conscience. Amina's story was different, but pain recognizes pain. She grew up in the foster system, bouncing from house to house. She'd known hunger, loneliness, and the sting of people looking down on her. But she had learned something valuable in all that struggle, that even broken wings can still rise. She worked 2 jobs, took night classes, and helped her neighbors whenever she could. She never expected a reward. She just believed kindness was its own kind of wealth. And now, that kindness had led her to this blind, abandoned girl dot in Amina's small home. The scent of cinnamon tea filled the air. Evelyn sat on the couch, her hands resting on her lap, tracing invisible shapes in the air. "You said your father was a good man," Amina said softly. "He was everything," Evelyn replied. "He used to tell me, even if you can't see the stars, they still shine for you. But I don't think anyone shines for me anymore." Amina knelt in front of her. "Then you haven't met yourself yet." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Why did you help me?" "Because I know what it feels like," Amina said, voice trembling slightly. "To be left behind. To have no one believe you're worth saving." That night, they stayed awake. Two strangers bound by the same wound abandonment and the same light hope. A week later, news spread like fire. Billionaire's blind daughter found alive after disappearance. The nation gasped. Clarissa sobbed on TV, pretending grief, claiming she'd been searching day and night. But Evelyn, holding Amina's hand, faced the cameras with quiet strength. Behind her, Amina whispered, "You don't need to shout to be heard. Just tell your truth." And she did. Evelyn revealed the digital voice recording her father had once given her a small device she had kept hidden in her pocket that day on the cliff. The recording played in the courtroom. "If my daughter's voice ever trembles in fear, know that someone has betrayed her." The judge's gavel fell. Clarissa's mask shattered. The world that once pitied her now saw her for what she truly was, a heart draped in diamonds. But rotten underneath, the mansion that once felt like a prison became a sanctuary. Evelyn inherited everything, but she didn't keep it for herself. Together with Amina, she started the Carter Brooks Foundation, a haven for abandoned children, a shelter for those left in the dark. Reporters asked her, "Why name it after someone who has nothing to do with your bloodline?" Evelyn smiled, because blood doesn't define who saves you. Love does. Months later, Evelyn returned to the cliff with Amina. The air was still cold. The sea still wild. But now it sounded different, less like a threat. More like a song. "I was supposed to die here," Evelyn whispered. Amina looked at her. "But you ID in single quotes T.no," Evelyn said, tears glistening like light through glass, "because someone saw me when I couldn't even see myself." The wind rose again, brushing their faces. Evelyn lifted her chin toward the horizon. "The truest sight," she said softly, "isn't what your eyes see. It's what your heart refuses to ignore." Amina smiled through tears. "And kindness," she added, "is the only inheritance that never runs out." Years later, the Carter Brooks Foundation became one of the most respected charities in the nation. It didn't just build homes, it rebuilt lives. Evelyn and Amina were often seen side by side, one guiding by heart, the other by vision. They became living proof that family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes, it's who stands beside you when the world disappears. Some people have everything and still lose their humanity. Others have nothing and still save a life. If this story touched you, take a moment to share it. Comment below where you're watching from and tell us who stood by you when the world turned away. Because in the end, heroes don't always wear armor. Sometimes, they just walk up the hill at the right time. Subscribe for more stories that remind you, even in the darkest moments, light finds a way.